We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
You're planning to vote for the bill and you don't need 72 hours, so you just vote for anything, no matter what's in there or what's not in there, you're going to vote for it. That's very concerning.
It's a disaster, but since I've been up here, it's been that way. It always comes down to the last minute. Everything's pushed in.
It seems to me like it's business as usual. We're reverting back to the way things have been done in Washington for quite some time.
I think this whole process is broken.
Mine's broken.
We're talking about appropriations bills that have been lying in public for months.
Do you think the Speaker got rolled in these talks?
I don't have any comment on that.
Well, he's disappointed a lot of folks in terms of what he can do, what he feels he can do.
We're going to have a disaster. I don't know whether it's going to be physical in terms of something happening in our country or, what happens in terms of the dollar. We have to protect our country better than what we're doing, and we're not doing a very good job of it.
Oh, well, when Tommy Tuberville says he doesn't know if it's going to be a physical, confrontation, everybody, just know peace is probably going to break out any minute everywhere. Holy crap. So here's the lay of the land, okay? It's like freaking March Madness at the end of the March, right? I mean, I am just freaked out about everything that happened this morning because a lot happened this morning. The first thing was the United Nations, okay? So the United States of America introduced a resolution in the United Nations Security Council to demand or to ask for a vote on an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Russia and China vetoed it. Russia will veto war. Russia literally vetoed it. And, you can only conclude that Russia would like to see Donald Trump and so would Bibi, because, Donald Trump will say, do whatever you want. He's already said, whatever Russia wants to do, they could do whatever the hell they want, right? And that he would end the Ukrainian invasion in 2 minutes, right, if he became president, because he'll give Ukraine to Vlad, which is what he was going to do in his second term anyway. And then, in Israel, obviously, whatever Jared wants, Jared would get. And I don't know if you saw this little piece of videotape or not, because it was kind of on the sly. It was kind of in the back room. It was kind of not, put on the TV, as so much crap isn't. Now, I will tell you this, okay? It's a good thing. It's a good thing that the media is honing in, like every single minute of every single hour this weekend on the TV is likely going to be devoted to poor Kate Middleton, who has just been diagnosed with some sort of cancer. They won't tell us what, they won't tell us where, they won't tell us the stage, but we know whatever it is, it needs chemo, and she started chemotherapy in February. And so she is now explaining that she needed time to explain to her children that she had cancer, and that they found it incidentally. She had gone for some major operation on her stomach area. Now, that could be anything. That could be her stomach. It could be her intestines. Could be her female parts. We don't know because they haven't told us, okay? And that incidentally, after this major surgery, they found the presence of cancer cells. And this is why they have said to her that she should have preemptive chemotherapy. This according to a videotape she put out. Okay, so that's sad. She's only 42. She's a princess, living the life. And then all of a sudden, because cancer doesn't discriminate. No, it doesn't, as we all know. Okay, so there's that. But it's a good thing that the media is going to actually cover this all weekend long. Or else they might actually cover the testimony that we heard yesterday from Lev Parnas about various members of Congress who seem to be taking information from Russian intelligence operatives who are now in jail for being Russian intelligence operatives. And we can't have that. That's just it's too shocking a thing for Americans to actually be forced to reconcile. It's too horrible. It's too I don't know, like a spy movie, and it can't possibly be our reality. That would be bad. That would be bad. So they won't dedicate any time to that. And of course, the ceasefire resolution in the United Nations Security Council failed. It failed because Russia and China vetoed it, right? And when you understand that Russia would prefer Donald Trump over Biden, and that Trump will defer to whatever Jared tells him to do on Israel because he has absolutely no moral compass, no foreign policy. And so this is something that should be on the TV everywhere, but of course it's nowhere. I just stumbled into it when I was going down, my road. You go. It's an amazing thing. I was researching the whole week in what was going to happen today at the United Nations, right? Because on Monday, on Monday, Jake Sullivan, the State Department spokesman, had said that he had, that they had met, Biden and Netanyahu had a call. They hadn't talked to each other in months. Okay, that they had a call. It didn't go completely well, but that the United States was ready to introduce a ceasefire resolution at the United Nations, and and so today it happened. So I was researching, everything about it, the text, and I come across video of Jared at Harvard saying, Gazans should just be removed from Gaza because, if you look at it, it's beautiful Mediterranean beachfront property right there on the gorgeous Mediterranean Sea. And people need to look at that land that way, like developers would. I swear to God, he said it. Listen.
There are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war, right? You had tribes that were in different places, but then Gaza became a thing. Egypt, used to run it. And then, over time, you had different governments that came in different ways. So you have another war, usually when wars happen, borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterwards.
I would do my best to move the people out and clean it up and then develop it as beachfront property because look at it. It's right on the Mediterranean. Isn't that a beauty? And Gaza isn't really a thing. It isn't really. Now, I know the history. I've told you the history. That is the history. But these are real people. I mean, there's a couple million of real people that he's talking about. Just clean them out. Just clean them out. Now, don't you think that should be on the TV? Don't you think that we should know something about that? I don't know. It's just me wanting information, just me wanting facts. Jerry Connolly was briefly asked about it on the TV. This was interesting.
I want to play for you what Jared Kushner, the former president's son-in-law, said last month, though revealed only in recent days, about the future of Gaza. And I want to draw attention to a particular line in this. Let me play it for you, and I want to get your thoughts.
Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up.
Okay. That was just played for Jerry Connolly. His reaction when we come back on the other side of the break. I mean, this is what autocrats say. They say things like, you live and then you die. That's life. That's life. It's what they say.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Okay, so here is Congressman Jerry Connolly's reaction to Jared saying that, Gaza is valuable waterfront property, and if you just cleaned it up and got rid of the Gazans, my God, you could develop this place and really have something special.
Move the people out. Move the Palestinians out of Gaza there. Is it that the Trump team, if he were to be reelected, would give right-wing Israeli leadership what they want? What they're looking for, including, some of the hardliners want to move Palestinians out of the West Bank as well.
If past is prologue, the answer to that question is tragically yes. President Trump basically gave Netanyahu everything he wanted when he was president for that 4-year period. I think what Kushner just said is repugnant beyond imagining. It is ethnic cleansing at its worst, and to then go on as if he were developing property in beachfront areas of the Carolinas, speculating how valuable beachfront property is in Gaza, while 31,000 people have been killed, is disgusting and beneath contempt. And I can only imagine the impact those words have on the suffering Palestinian people in Gaza right now.
So maybe now you can understand why his friend Vladimir Putin, whose city Moscow is on fire now, and I don't know exactly what's going on because it's Russia and they don't have a free press. So now we're trying to figure out there are 40 dead in Moscow, 40 dead in some shooting incident, and it looks like some concert hall is on fire. Now they just had a election in Russia where they just made Vlad the leader for the rest of his life, basically another 6 years. So Vlad will have served longer than Joseph Stalin, right? And I don't know if the people in Russia are very happy about that. I'm not really clear. I'm not really sure if they're thrilled with their decision. But anyway, Vlad's Russia vetoed the ceasefire resolution that the United States introduced today at the United Nations to try and get aid into people who are starving to death, slowly and miserably, in the Gaza Strip. Now, we already know what the right wing wants to do, because the right wing is already doing what they want to do in the West Bank, which I have told you is a completely different story. But it's very illustrative of what right-wing, lunatic, fringy people think about the West Bank, think about Palestinians in the West Bank, and think about Gazans now in the Gaza Strip. Now, these are two different places. They're run by two different governments. Hamas is obviously a terrorist group. 2,000 of them, don't forget this, 2,000 terrorists flew and ran into Israel, southern Israel, and murdered all day long women, children, grandmas, babies. They are a terrorist organization, okay? There's no question. But the people of Gaza have been duped so many times by so many leadership, people. They were duped by Yasser Arafat and the Palestinian Liberation. They had a chance for peace back then. He said no. I mean, they walked right up to the peace line and said, no, because you know what? Then who will I be? Who will I be? I won't be an organization's leader anymore. I'll just be some flotsam and jetsam in the universe, and they'll ban me and send me to Tunisia. I just, no, I'm a no. Right? And then people who had tried to make peace prior, they were assassinated by their own people. Yeah, it's an old story. You don't need to hear the whole thing. But these people now, they were duped by Hamas and used as human shields by a terrorist organization because Hamas knew what was going to happen when they went into southern Israel and murdered their way through the morning. They understood what they were doing when they took people from a concert and spirited them, back into Gaza and raped the crap out of a lot of them, and murdered people in Gaza. So they are a terrorist organization, and they are using the Gazans as human shields. There is no question about that. But the United States really thinks that we've seen enough killing so that the world is going to treat Netanyahu's Israel And Israel is more than Bibi Netanyahu, okay? Israel is more than any of its prime ministers. Israel is not, one guy. It's not one administration. And, the people in Palestine, the people who live in Gaza, the people who live on the West Bank, they are more than the PLO. They are more than the Palestinian Authority. They are more than Abbas just, gave power to another guy because he's old and whatever. And they're more than a terrorist organization, Hamas. They're people. They're living, breathing people who have been duped over and over and over and over and over again. And so we would like to salvage what's salvageable over there, because if we didn't have democracy over there, that's why Israel's so important. If we didn't have, a democracy in the middle of this neighborhood, we would have to invent one. We would have to make one. And there already is one, but it's being destroyed by right-wing lunatics, which everything gets destroyed by. Look what's going on here. Did you see what happened this morning here? So today is the drop-dead date for the remaining 6 appropriations bills. Now, you know the omnibus appropriations bill is usually 12 different bills smashed together. That's why they call it the omnibus, right? Smashed together. They usually wait for the last possible second. Lobbyists love this time of year. Okay, the idea that Republicans are wrong about the budget being gamed at the very last minute, they're not wrong about that. They just have no ability to sever themselves from that feeding frenzy. They just like to take that money and then point at it and say, this is your problem. This is what they do all the time, okay? It's what they do every single year. They kick the can as close to the drop-dead date as they can, and then they scream, we didn't want it to be this way. But they took the money from the lobbyists who were trying to get the tax code, or defense projects or homeland security projects or whatever into the budget. But they pretend they didn't know anything about. These bills have been public for a really long time. They're just lying about that fact. Marge today, Large Marge, actually decided that she was going to threaten Mike Johnson's, wonderful speakership. God, what a disaster. I mean, this guy that we never heard of is about to be a guy you never heard of again, which is good. But she's going to throw the House of Representatives into chaos. First of all, they voted in the House to pass this, the last 6 bills, okay? They took the omnibus and they made it into 2 mini buses, okay? So 6 and 6 instead of 112. Don't ask me why that's better. It's not. And she's like livid that it passed. She's absolutely out of her mind, livid that it passed. So she went out on the steps of the Capitol all by herself. I didn't see like a whole bunch of Republicans joining her this time like they did last time to get rid of McCarthy over the same issue. Same issue, because it keeps repeating. They keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Whatever. That's insanity. She filed a motion to vacate the chair. She filed a motion to get rid of Mike Johnson. Not to take a vote, just to threaten him.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
What the hell is happening? See, this is chaos. This is what every single day, every single solitary day, for over the last, well, not these last 2 years, 3 years, but it's like surreal that we are actually talking about a person who is under indictment, okay? Felonies, charged with felonies, like tens of them in 4 is playing the judicial system, is able to do it. People with money are able to do this kind of crap. I mean, it's surreal, okay? The underbelly of our country has been so revealed by the corrupt and fraudulent nature of the past president that and just like, oh my God, you just sit there and you say, what, he was working with Russian intelligence the whole time? You know what I'm saying? But listen, that is why, Free Speech TV exists. It exists because, nobody is going to actually explain to you why certain things are bad for democracy and certain things are good for democracy. But I wanted to let you know that today is a really, this is my favorite thing. This is my favorite thing. So yesterday we had a match day, right? I love that too, where, you give $1 and somebody else gives $1, and so you get $2 out of your dollar. That's double your pleasure, double your fun. Today is triple. Today is what they call a double match day, but that means whatever you do is triple. It's triple. So if you gave $1 today, you'd have two people giving $1 each, and so your dollar will become $3, right? If you did $100, it would be $300. If you did, $150, it would be $450. Do you see what I mean? I mean, it's like an amazing thing. So $20 is, $60. It's a great day. So please, if you were waiting for some sort of a perky day, some sort of a day that it would really go far, today is your day. It really goes far today. So do your part and make your gift to Free Speech TV by calling 877-378-8669. You can visit freespeech.org if you want to use the QR code there on your screen. That'll take you to freespeech.org, and you can donate there. You can text FSTV to 44321, like a little countdown, 44321, FSTV, Free Speech TV, and we'll send you a secure link, and you can donate that way. But just know, like, whatever you do today, it's going to be matched by two frontline funders. Each of them will see whatever it is you do and match it. So 10 is 30. I mean, it's an amazing thing. So thank you very much for supporting Free Speech TV. Appreciate you very much. Charles in Georgia. May I help you? Is that me? Did I press it? I do? He's not there. Catherine in Baltimore.
Good morning, Randy. I am absolutely livid that the Republicans have invited a war criminal to come and speak before in the United States Congress.
They've done it before. They've done it before.
I know. And when he did it with Obama, all he did was bash Obama. And he's, darn well, he's just going to bash Biden and praise Trump. But this is a war criminal. I mean, did we invite Pol Pot and Idi Amin and all the Hitler to come and speak before?
Okay. See, now you're insinuating that Bibi Netanyahu reacted to nothing, that nothing had happened that would cause him to retaliate against, Hamas.
Oh, no.
And that's not true. So
no, I realize
I really wouldn't be calling him a war criminal at all. Putin has been declared to be a war criminal. And the reason why Putin was declared a war criminal is because he invaded his neighbor unprovoked and has been kidnapping children out of Ukraine and taking them to Russia. So you do have a real war criminal that vetoed our ceasefire resolution today. But that war criminal is Vladimir Putin. So,
well, yes, I agree with that. But also, starving people in a war is a war crime.
It is.
It is. Well, he's denying humanitarian aid and food.
He says he's not, and I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going on because everybody over there is, telling a story, right? And so nobody knows what's going on over there because it's the fog of war. And that is what happens in wartime. What you can assume is that it's possible to open more crossings, okay, and let more aid in. It's also possible for Bibi to go along with a ceasefire and let more aid in. It's also possible for a ceasefire to get hostages out, which is what Israelis would like him to do, and he won't do it.
Right.
So there's plenty of things to complain about, but these terminologies like war criminal or genocide, I'm not down with that. Okay, I don't think that serves any purpose. I don't think it's good for American Jews to be told, by other people in the media that they are, participating in simply because we exist in a genocide or participating in some sort of a war crime. I mean, it's the whole thing is causing so much hatred. So much hatred. Yeah. So be careful.
Yeah, I know. And the anti-Semitism has just skyrocketed in this country.
And when you have people on the hard left doing what they're doing, they're increasing the amount of hatred that ordinary Americans just trying to get through their day are experiencing, simply because the reason to hate is being given to them by the left.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think when you're starving innocent people,
I don't know that I don't know that that's what's happening. I just don't.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to know because there's so much propaganda that's going on. But Netanyahu is right in there with Putin and Trump.
He's a horrible person. I have said this since day one. I have told everybody, and people didn't want to hear, oh, he's not responsible. Israel is responsible. Jews are responsible.
No, Jews are not responsible.
Well, this is the natural conclusion, if you start talking this way, right? I mean, and the idea that you have a really bad ultra-right-wing leader who is an uber nationalist, and that there but for the grace of God go us, right? And we should be learning lessons from this instead of just sitting back on a high horse going, oh, it's them, it's just them, and they're bad. And no, it's this whole nationalistic ideology. Nothing good ever comes from it, ever. You practice hating your neighbors. You practice suppressing your neighbors. And this is the backlash, and then you have to respond, and it's this endless loop of violence.
Yeah, exactly. And how many, I mean, it's, I refrained from making any comments on social media or anything when this happened, because the heartbreak and the outrage on both sides is so raw.
Well, listen,
and the history is so complex.
The history isn't that complex. What is complex is the lives of ordinary people not in leadership positions being taken advantage of by people in leadership positions over and over and over again. Okay? The people that were attacked in South Israel, they were the liberals. They were the progressives.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Filed the motion to vacate today, but it's more of a warning and a pink slip. I respect our conference. I paid all my dues to my conference. I'm a member in good standing, and I do not wish to inflict pain on our conference and to throw the house in chaos. But this is basically a warning, and it's time for us to go through the process, take our time, and find a new Speaker of the House that will stand with Republicans and our Republican majority instead of standing with the Democrats.
That is a warning. If it's a warning, if it's a warning, does that mean that you're not going to go through and force this vote?
No, I will. There's
nothing that can convince you to back off.
There's not a time limit on this. It doesn't have to be forced and throw the House into chaos. I don't want to put any of our members in a difficult place like we were for 3.5 weeks. We're going to continue our committee work. We're going to continue our investigations.
I mean, she's just creating even more chaos, and all because we passed the funding of our own damn government. And in that bill, there were a whole host of things that the Democrats wanted that were part of the border security package that the House would not even introduce. There are 300 votes in the House for the Senate's border security package. Okay, it passed 70-22 in the Senate. It would give more beds. It would give more border agents. It would give more asylum judges. It would increase what is needed to be shown in order to even have a legitimate asylum claim. People would be adjudicated. They would be heard on their asylum claim while they were in detention if they passed the Senate bipartisan package. But Mike Johnson won't even introduce it. So when Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's going to move to vacate him from the chair, I don't give a damn about him surviving in the speakership. What I care about is she's lying because today is the last day of the Congress. Oh, yeah, they're going on vacation yet again, for another 2 weeks. This one's Easter vacation. And so the reason why she filed but isn't calling for the vote today is because her caucus, her conference that she says, I don't want to throw them into chaos. They have vacation plans. That's what she doesn't want to throw into chaos. Their vacation plans. Okay, so what she did was she filed a motion to vacate, and they agreed. These Republicans are morons. They agreed to have just one person be able to introduce a motion to vacate the Speaker of the House and cause a vote. Right? And they did that with Kevin McCarthy. I mean, they have no sense of what it takes to govern. They have absolutely no ability to run a country. They can't govern to save their lives. And everybody does everything in order to make themselves famous, not to take care of the American people. I mean, that the idea that, they need to be famous, that comes first and foremost. And it's so chaotic. I just can't take it anymore. Doesn't everybody in this country think that we deserve a little bit of peace and quiet instead of all this chaos all the time? Good Lord, man. Charles in Georgia. Again. Okay, I'm done with him. Savid in California.
Hi, Randy. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hi.
So what I wanted to talk about was, AIPAC. I don't know exactly the way it's worded, but I know it's AIPAC. I wanted to talk
American
about
Israeli Political Action Committee.
Okay, cool. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about that. One of the things I think that is a problem and is a fear probably for the Biden administration is that if they don't continue to arm Israel, that AIPAC might just come against them, you know what I mean, and really start spending money against this campaign. That's what I think. And I know your producer told me, that earlier today we put forth a resolution for a ceasefire in the UN. And I know that Russia and China, they tanked it because they vetoed it.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. I've been thinking the entire time that this whole thing's been going on, just about the influence that AIPAC has with our politicians.
Well, I have
Can you
always
talk about
said,
that?
yes, I've always said that AIPAC needs to register as a foreign government's lobbying shop. It's not the idea that you could lobby here in the United States without FARA, without a foreign registration. For AIPAC alone is a little bit, it's a lot. It's upsetting and it's wrong. And I've always said that. I've said that for years. Okay, so there's that with AIPAC. What else?
Just that whole piece right there, and then again, man, I'm like, one of the things that I just think to myself, one of the things that he could do, with Netanyahu being the way he is. Because I kind of think that Netanyahu's pulling for Trump anyway, and he wants this war to go on, and he wants the people, the younger people that are looking at it to be against Biden, you know what I mean, and
yes,
he wants it to go on through the election.
And the idea that Russians and Chinese have done an extraordinary job of propagandizing young people on TikTok. Should not be lost on anybody here. I mean, the idea that, you had protests for Palestinians before anybody knew anything about what was going on over there. All we knew was that there were, terrorists, 2,000 of them that had strapped paragliding, equipment onto them and paraglided over the wall and went into southern Israel, into these kibbutz, and started raping people and putting babies in the oven. I mean, they were so quick on the social media platforms to put the image of the paraglider and say that they were pro-Palestinian and that this is the natural reaction to apartheid. No, this was a natural reaction to terrorism. And from there on out, this whole entire thing became an anti-Biden sort of an effort, okay? And it has been. And it's been that way because that's how Russia wants it, and that's how China wants it, and that's where the money went to, get people in this country to hate on Biden, as if Biden had made any decisions in Israel. He made no decisions. And in fact, he's been chastising Benjamin Netanyahu. But you see, this is why no one talks about Israel. Because if you say that you're pro-Israel, then all of a sudden you're pro-apartheid. If you say you're anti-Israel, then all of a sudden you're anti-democratic. And there is no winning. There is no winning that argument. But the social media propaganda, was so intense at the very front of this that people ought to orient themselves to that fact that they were so fast. And who are they? They were Russians. They were bots. They were trolls. They were Chinese that were trying to get hatred for Biden to boil over in the United States.
So I have one more question, and then I'm going to let you go. What do you think the president's chances are of winning? I mean, every time I look at the polls, man, it's like, wow, he's still underwater. I mean, he's at 39% right now. That ticked up 2%.
What
but
poll,
I'm like, wow.
What poll are you looking at?
I'm always looking at 538.com on ABC, right? I'm always looking at theirs, Nate Silver's site.
Yeah, I know 538, but today I was looking at 538, and I saw polls where Biden was, in 5 different polls, Biden was ahead. So I don't know which ones you're looking at, but there's more than one poll.
I was looking at his approval rate. I was looking at his approval rating. That's what I was looking at, right?
Which poll?
The last one that I looked at a couple of days ago was 538. Yeah, it was his approval rating, and it was at
538 is a website. It's not a poll. So, the idea that Trump is weak and that Biden is strong, that's what you should be, looking at, because Trump has underperformed in every one of these primaries, even though, he's like the only one on the ballot. Okay. But he's not, he's underperforming what he did last time. Right. So, I mean, the idea that Biden has gotten so much more money than Trump has, and that only I think it's 62% of the small donors that give to Donald Trump said they're done with him. That's an inordinate amount of people to say they're done with you. Okay. Then we had some elections. We had a bellwether election, New York 3, right, for Santos' seat. And the Democrats won a Republican seat there. Today, Mike Gallagher, the Republican from Wisconsin, he announced he's leaving. You have Republicans leaving in mass. Okay. You have Ken Buck today is his last day. Ken Buck from Colorado. Lauren Boebert's running for his seat, and she's going to lose. I mean, the idea that, Donald Trump is strong, really, you ought to disabuse yourself of that, because I don't see it anymore. State party chairs in key swing states have been indicted. How could you say that, he's doing well? I don't understand. I really don't. Is there a MAGA cult? Yes, there's a cult. There's a group of people in this country, we will always have them, who are just like more interested in a president getting even with black and brown people than anything else.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created
equal to the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The President and the Prime Minister also discussed the ongoing negotiations for an immediate ceasefire for several weeks in return for releasing hostages currently being held by Hamas and other militants in Gaza. We would look to build on that ceasefire into something more enduring and use the space created by a cessation of hostilities to surge humanitarian assistance at a vital moment. So far, this deal has been more elusive than we would have hoped, but we will keep pressing because we regard this as an urgent priority. As I've said before, Hamas could, of course, end this crisis tomorrow if it chose to do so. And as I've said before, far too little of the energy and the pressure to end this conflict has been applied to Hamas. We will keep pointing that out. The President and the Prime Minister agreed to stay in close touch in the days and weeks ahead on all of these issues, and of course, their teams are in daily contact on every element of this crisis, as well as the other threats that Israel faces from around the region and the shared threats that the United States, Israel, and others of our allies and partners face from Iran and its proxy forces across the Middle East.
Right. And so therein lies your dilemma, right? If you understood what Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor to President Joe Biden, was explaining to you there, He was telling you a few things, a few really good things. One, he's asking Benjamin Netanyahu to do a ceasefire, to a one-sided ceasefire, so that they can surge humanitarian aid into Gaza, right? Number one. Number two, actually, he had it the other way around. Number one would be to get the hostages out, which is what the Israelis would like to see Benjamin Netanyahu focused on. He hasn't been focused on that since the beginning, since the start. 5 months ago, he never, well, you know, if the hostages are there, so be it. You know, we're still going in. We're still going to bomb the crap out of it. And they did. They did. So no one's wrong when they say that Netanyahu is a right-wing lunatic guy who didn't give a damn about the hostages from at the front end of this. So why would he give a damn about them now? He doesn't. That's a gimme. The other thing he was telling you is that very few people talk about how Hamas could end this today if they wanted to. No one ever brings that up. And they could. They could release the hostages right now, wave a white flag and release the hostages right now. But they won't, because that is who they hide behind. That is their shield. It's their leverage. It's their negotiating shit. Yeah. And so they won't end it. And nobody talks about it from that point of view, okay? And that's really, really scary to me, that the terrorists have an entire social media platform, or maybe even two, that are so pro-them and so anti-ordinary hostage. I've never seen anything like it, really. It's just very bizarre, I must say. The other thing he's telling you is why we still sell things like, bullets and Iron Dome missiles. Why do we still sell them to Israel? Why do we still do it? We do it because it's not just Hamas that they have to defend themselves, against, which we now see is true, but it's also Hezbollah, Lebanon in the north. It's also Iran. These groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, these are Iranian proxy groups. And the Iranians have made it very plain and very clear to the entire world that they will fight to the last dead proxy. They will sacrifice every Hamas, terrorist. Every Hezbollah guy could die. All the Houthis over there in Yemen, they could perish from the earth. I mean, we don't even care if we lose them. Okay, we'll fight until they're dead. So that's why. That's why Israel is valuable to us. That, and they're also a democracy. That, and they also give us an inordinate amount of intelligence. And a good chunk of our defense budget is spent on intelligence gathering. And we need intelligence to be gathered against people who wish us harm. And the national security of the United States is threatened each and every minute by Iran and Iranian proxy groups. Okay? The Iranians hate us, and therefore they would like to see Israel destroyed. If Israel is destroyed, then the Iranians feel like we would lose an entire, a source of intelligence about their nuclear hopes, dreams, and desires. And they're right. So that's what's complicated. The history of that swath of land is not so complicated. The enemies and the defense of Israel is complicated. And the idea that Israel has fallen into the hands of a right-wing, ultra-uber nationalist, religious nationalist, should not be lost on anybody. And in fact, you should be looking at the quality of leadership that you get from a right-wing uber nationalist who is submissive, let's say, to the right-wing religious fanatics. Israel is pretty secular. And people who have been there know that. People who haven't been there don't. But it's pretty secular. There is a right wing there, just like there's a right wing here. And the right wing here is also subservient to evangelicals. The right wing here is subservient to uber right wing nationalists. Same over there. And Netanyahu has thrown in with them because he's in trouble, just like Trump. He's in trouble with the law, just like Trump. He's been indicted for fraud, just like Trump. He's been indicted for taking bribes similarly. And so he tried to dismantle the Supreme Court in Israel, take its power away so that he couldn't be prosecuted. And people were out on the street just, literally protesting everything he was doing for months ahead of this invasion, months ahead of this terrorist attack. And I think that's why terrorists thought that this was a great opportunity. Israel was divided. Israel was, it was very chaotic there. Israel was, coming apart. And the United States is being torn apart, too, by that same kind of chaos, by that same kind of divide, by that same kind of polarization between a fraudulent person who's trying to game the judicial system and a religious crowd that believes he's flawed, he is, and he's in trouble, but he's our guy. God selected him, or he will let us do what it is that we want to do. So the uber right wing has thrown in with Netanyahu over there, and the uber right wing has thrown in with Donald Trump over here. The problem is they're not the majority of either place. And the people that are paying the price are paying a very steep price. They're paying with their lives. They're paying with their reputations. They're paying with the hatred that's been, the amount of hatred that, Israelis are suffering through now because of what Netanyahu is doing, and the amount of suffering that Gazans are going through because their leadership sucks too. That's what you should be looking at and learning from. That's what you should say, hey, we ought to avoid that at all costs because it never turns out well. The extreme right and the extreme left, they bring nothing. Nothing of value, nothing that you would want, nothing that you could appreciate, nothing that would give you peace and quiet, nothing that would assure the future for your children or would, make the world a better place to live. Nothing. And I never thought I would see this on the left, but the left has gone so far to the left that it's now joined the right, and that's true. And the kind of vitriol and hatred and the words that are just thrown around willy-nilly and without concern or care that do apply to certain leaders in this world, like Putin, who is a war criminal, who invaded a neighbor unprovoked, and that's totally off everybody's radar when there's a definite side in that conflict. And the side you ought to be on is the democratic, country of Ukraine. And yet the right wing here, they don't want another penny going to Ukraine. Why? Because Trump will give it to Putin.
RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way. By allowing his political survival to take the precedence over the best interests of Israel. He has put himself in coalition with far-right extremists like Ministers Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, and as a result, he has been too willing to tolerate the civilian toll in Gaza, which is pushing support for Israel worldwide to historic lows. Israel cannot survive if it becomes a pariah. Prime Minister Netanyahu has also weakened Israel's political and moral fabric through his attempts to co-opt the judiciary. And he has shown zero interest in doing the courageous and visionary work required to pave the way for peace, even before this present conflict. As a lifelong supporter of Israel, it has become clear to me the Netanyahu coalition no longer fits the needs of Israel after October 7th. The world has changed radically since then, and the Israeli people are being stifled right now by a governing vision that is stuck in the past.
I associate myself with those words, honestly, because that is really what's going on there. He has pegged, what he's doing, Netanyahu has. And you could put the name Trump in there, too, and you'll come up with the exact same speech, right? Where they have put their political survival ahead of the survival of their nation. The survival of America, in the case of Trump, we could all die, right? He gave himself a 10 on the COVID thing, right? I mean, the guy had one crisis. during his entire presidency. He inherited the most majestic economy from Barack Obama, okay? Just like an amazing situation because we had saved this country from absolute ruin from the Bush years, okay? And he inherited all this largesse, and actually everything was fine until COVID. That was the only crisis he had to deal with, and he messed it up so completely. So completely. You know, I was looking at, they're all asking, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Yes, I am. You know why? I'm free to go to the supermarket. I don't have to wear a mask. Okay, I don't have to social distance. Kids go to school freely every single day. They want to bring measles back again and make measles great or polio or some such crap because they're psychos. But
make polio great again?
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, honest to God, man, this is what they do. They put their political survival ahead of their country. And Netanyahu and Trump are identical in that way. So is Putin in that way. So is Viktor Orban in that way. And what do? They literally trash groups of people, whole entire groups of people. And they say they hate your country or they're what you're afraid of. Or if you give them anything, then that means you got less of it, right? If you give them freedom, that means you have less freedom. It doesn't work that way. That is not what freedom is, okay? It isn't. But you have people that want to conquer other people for the sake of being a conqueror and a strong man in the eyes of the voting public. And it's a terrible, warlike posture. And we've seen it a million times, and still people don't recognize it. They just don't. But that is what is going on, and that's what the right wing is all about. That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm giving a warning to Mike Johnson. I don't like what he's doing. You don't like what he's doing, so you're going to throw the entire United States of America into chaos when we have a border that needs money, when we have a border patrol that need more backup, when we need more beds, when we need a whole host of things to make things somewhat decent in border communities and in Martha's Vineyard, apparently, because these guys, Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, they're into trafficking now. Yeah, they're into human trafficking. The thing that they hated the most, they participate in now. Do you see what I mean? It's just it's so revolting. It's so disgraceful. It's so unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted chaos. But they do it for their own political survival. And, countries that are great democracies in, the world, let alone in bad neighborhoods, they need a whole lot less of that. A whole lot less. Chaos is not good for democracies, okay? Messiness, yes. Democracy is messy. But it's not a country of completely polarized people to the point where, did you see that we're not even in the top 10 of the world's happiest places anymore? We're not even in the top 25. It's like Sweden, Norway, Finland, and they're on the border of Russia and they're happier than we are. It's freaking 15 degrees over there right now, and they're happier than we are. It's the chaos, man. I can't take the chaos. And, when you listen to some of them just, tell you the truth about why they're doing what they're doing, and sometimes, they are such obstructors of all things decent that the truth actually comes out when they're making their case. This is election denier and, fake elector scheme participant Scott Perry. He's a Republican from Pennsylvania. So he actually was saying that the reason why he didn't want to vote for funding our government is because it would give a win to the Democrats, who could then claim, because it is in this budget, that there are thousands of new Border Patrol agents that are funded in this in the Department of Homeland Security's funding, which is one of the departments that is in this, I won't call it an omnibus, it's a minibus. And he said, we can't vote for this because the Democrats will be able to take credit for it.
And what is the left, the Democrats, what are they going to run on when they pass this bill? 22,000 border agents, 41,500 detention beds. 22,000 border agents.
Yeah. We can't let them have that. We can't let them have a win. We can't let them have, even if it means America has to suffer, even if it means we're not going to secure our border, we cannot let the Democrats vote for this package that will actually shore up border security, because they'll say that they did it because they did, and we can't have that. So why don't you just see, this is what I mean. Like Hamas could end it right now, but they won't. The Republicans could end the border problem right now, but they won't. I will say, Senate Republicans, they did better. They did better because the Senate package passed with 70 votes. Okay, so you had a lot of Republican participation in the border security package in the Senate. The House, they won't even introduce it. Mike Johnson won't have, because you know how many votes there are for this bill? In the 300. 300. It would pass so easily. But he just told you why. He just told you why we can't have it, why we can't even introduce it. Because it will pass. And then the Democrats will take credit for all these new detention beds and all these. So you know what we did? This is why Marjorie's so, her panties are in such a bunch today. Ew. The reason is because we did manage to get in there some more Border Patrol and some more detention beds. We weren't able to increase the standard for asylum, which really badly needs to be done. And we weren't able to secure ourselves an additional, 1,000 asylum judges, which we desperately need, so that asylum claims could be adjudicated quickly while people were still in detention. They would not be released into the interior of the country. That solves a lot of the problem.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right, everybody. Happy Friday, you bastards. And if you've been watching Free Speech TV this week, you know that we are at the end of the first week of the 2-week Free Speech TV Spring Pledge Drive, right? And today is a wonderful, wonderful day for you to say, today's my day. Today's the day I'm going to give. Why? Because today is what we call a double match day. So that means that there are 2 frontline funders who match what you give each. So $1 is $3 and on it goes, right? So 20 is 60, 50 is 150 and so on and so forth, right? So excellent, excellent day to make your donation. Call now at 877-378-8669. That will get you a very happy person on the other end of the phone in Denver, Colorado, where they distribute all of our shows lovingly each and every day. They come to work, they do the job, they do it effortlessly, seamlessly, and they don't, try and take credit for anything. They are the unsung heroes of independent television. Amazing people. Anyway, that's where your money goes, okay? Or you can visit us at freespeech.org, not for profit. That's why it's a .org, not a .com, freespeech.org, or text FSTV to 44321, and we'll send you a link. And you can make a one-time donation, a recurring donation, whatever suits you and your situation, please do it. If you decide to do recurring, if you decide to become a sustaining member of Free Speech TV, well, thank you for doing that. But if you change your mind at any point, you need to change your mind at any point, you can do it just as easily as going to 44321 and, texting FSTV and changing it right there on your phone. So thank you very much for your support this week. We appreciate everything you're doing. I know you appreciate what we do, and so it's a mutual admiration society. And I've seen a lot of things that have worse results. Okay, so congratulations to us. Carmen in Texas.
Hi, Randi.
Hi.
Listen, I just want to tell you that I completely agree with you about the far right here and the far right in Israel. And also about the media. About 3 nights ago on CNN, they had a segment from Clarissa Ward, and she interviewed the right-wing people from Israel, and they showed her a map of Gaza, how they're going to occupy it. And I hadn't seen that before.
Of Gaza?
Yes. It was a segment that Clarissa Ward did on CNN, and then it was repeated on Christine Amanpour's program too. And, Clarissa Ward is a terrific reporter.
No, she's amazing. She's a war reporter.
Yes.
I've never seen anybody quite like her. She is so brave.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. She's so intelligent, so smart.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to tell you, and anyway, I appreciate all you do. I listen to you frequently, and thank you for your voice in all of this. Thank you.
Okay. I don't. Yeah. Brother David.
Oh, sister. So in my ongoing project to memorize Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, in case we go Vonnegutian, this quote popped up today, and it seemed to apply. The mistake is to assume that rulers who came to power through institutions cannot change or destroy those very institutions, even when that is exactly what they have announced that they will do. And boy, that one just rang like a gong.
It's all happening. I mean, Timothy Snyder was very smart to give us that little book to read as a warning years ago. Okay, and everything that he wrote down should be like a guardrail, right? Everything that he wrote down was something that each and every American has, I think, a duty to know.
Exactly.
What's coming? To recognize when we're being put in harm's way for the sake of somebody who has a political desire that is counter to democracy. Okay, let's just
precisely
right,
yeah.
and that's what his book is about. The problem that we have is we got so much closer, and we still keep inching towards fascism. And we have one of the world's great parties, as they say, the Republican Party of the United States of America, throwing in with the ultra right-wing autocrats in this world. And it seems like each and every day they take another step towards fascism, all over the world.
It is so true. And it's not like we haven't seen it over and over again. This is why I'm getting tired of, after I finally did because I've been ill with the cough variant.
With
wrap
what?
up on
With
the
what?
cough variant.
Oh, Brett has it too. He's been hacking all day today. He was out.
And I feel better. I'm kind of over all the normal symptoms, but you heard me today. It just won't. It's lingering. It
you
will not go
sounded like
away.
a croupy baby.
But I feel fine. But maybe he can relate, Brother David.
I can totally relate.
Yeah, he has.
Because it's been like almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah, well, his has been going on about 2. I mean, he sounded worse today than he did, in previous days.
Avoid dairy at all costs, Brad.
Oh, yes.
Just hit a nerve with Ray. Here we go.
Dairy makes phlegm, Brett. He's right. And, Brett does enjoy an inordinate amount of cheeses of the world every single day.
Randy is letting me know. I like those little mozzarella balls, the ones that call the pearls.
And I keep telling him, it's going to get you. It's going to get you. But now, see, David's bringing up another aspect of the overindulgence in the cheeses. And that is phlegm. It's phlegm. It makes phlegm too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's mucusy.
Yeah.
The last thing, I was started to say that I've gotten really tired of having to defend Jonathan Glazer's Oscar speech, or the guy who directed 20 Days in Mariupol's Oscar speech. And then it hit me. Wait a minute. Remember being John Malkovich?
Yes.
Remember the climax when Malkovich himself enters the portal into his own brain?
Yes.
And it's like a zillion Malkoviches just going, Malkovich. That's Netanyahu's brain. That's certainly the former guy's brain. And I think that's where people are falling to. We've got to pull back from that and look at the bigger picture and remember that there really are more of us.
I mean, I kept trying to take a call today from some guy in Georgia. He kept calling. He's been calling all week, and every time you go to the phone, he's either not there, or you go to the phone and he's got you on he's got you on in the background. So, there's a delay and you can't get, But this guy in Georgia, he wanted to ask me, according to what he told Brett he wanted to ask. He wanted to ask me, why do I hate Donald Trump so much? Okay. And I just wanted to tell him, that it would be easier for him to tell me why he loves him so much.
Bingo.
Right? I mean, the man is a disgrace to democracy, okay? He botched COVID to the point of 1 million deaths, okay? He ran up $8 trillion in debt and tells us he was the best thing that ever happened to our economy. He lies. He encouraged violence. He wanted people to attack his own country's capital, and they did. And if you go all the way back, he was a birther. Okay, so, like there's a... But why do people like him? That's... And you pretty much, understand it's because they think so much of themselves that they get other people to do it too.
Precisely.
Right.
Gorgeous girdles for everyone, not for just a few.
Thanks. Bye.
Clear. This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
And then I see the disinfectant. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside?
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10. I think we've done a great job.
What do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all. We're doing, I think, really, really well.
I'll tell you what. How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
Oh, for God's sake.
Truly, man. We are so much better off than we were 4 years ago today. In the homework today at randirhodes.com, there's a homework section. It's all free, right? There is a tool, okay, a New York Times tool. You click on it, and you could put in whatever date you'd like, and it will show you the front page of the New York Times on that date. So just for craps and giggles today, I don't know how else to explain it to you without cursing, but this was the New York Times front page for, as you can see there, March 22nd. Oh, you can't see. There. For March 22nd, 2020. This is the front page, okay? Governments and companies race to make masks vital to virus fight. President Trump resists using emergency powers to compel production, saying companies will voluntarily provide much-needed protective gear. I wonder if you even remember how Jared was saying that the national, surplus, the collection of masks and things that were in they belonged to them. It was theirs. It didn't belong to the states, right? And so the states couldn't have any of the federal, supplies that were in the warehouse. Do you remember any of this? Everybody has like this complete memory blackout. Like, I don't know what the short attention span theater is in this country, but, there was this lovely little study the other day that said that the average American's attention span was like 46 seconds.
That is so much longer than mine, and I am not even making a joke.
I know.
That seems extraordinary.
So look at this. Coronavirus recession looms. Its course unrecognizable. This is all the front page of the New York Times I'm looking at here. Italy. Remember when Italy first started getting sick, right? Italy's pandemic's new epicenter has lessons for the world, okay? You need to isolate and limit people's movement. You need to put, these things need to be put in place early and then strictly enforced, but, oh, whatever. I mean, you could put any date you want in here. So here, let's do yesterday. Okay, for instance, here it's going to refresh. And yesterday's paper 4 years ago. 1 in 5 Americans ordered to stay home in coronavirus crackdown. It was so bad. And this was his only crisis. It was the only time we needed a president in his entire 4 years. Other than that, every day we woke up to more chaos because he tweeted. He tweeted. And he was tweeting at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, the guy was obviously on Adderall. He was obviously on something, right? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. My kids don't smoke. None of it. We're all pure and. But obviously the guy has a problem with speed because he was up all night long. He still does it. 6:30 in the morning, he's on his Truth Social. So let me just address this very briefly. So Truth Social is going public, okay? And the media is breathlessly reporting its value on paper, okay? somewhere around $3 billion. $3 billion? Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, so here are the numbers for you people who are very curious and want numbers, because numbers don't lie. Trump does. So last year's revenue, meaning ad sales, and the ad sales on Truth Social, if you look at what they sell there, it's mostly Trump-related merchandise. So he's sort of paying himself. That's number one. Number two, a lot of it's like ivermectin-ish, meaning fake cures, like, Alex Jones iodine bottles for, low T or whatever. He sells you a bottle of iodine, and you should drink it, whatever. So, but the total of ad sales, the revenue generated by Truth Social, was about $5 to $6 million last year. He's doing worse this year than he did last year. So how is this company valued at $3 billion? Okay, just thought I'd mention it. So just for compares, okay, Twitter, Elon Musk's ridiculous swamp that he created out of a viable business, I think it's got around 258 million users. Right? So 250, let's just call it 250, a quarter of a billion users. Trump's social has 7 million. Okay. Now, it's not a contest to see who can, because I don't pay for promotion on any of these platforms. And so, when you look at other places, you'll see they have like 2 million followers, 1 million followers. I don't, because I don't pay. I don't pay anything for any of it, okay? I just don't care about that. Couldn't care less. You know why? I don't sell ads. So I couldn't care less about ginning up numbers. But even him who's ginning up the numbers around his platform got to 7 million and then stalled out. And that's it. That's peak business for him. And they're telling us that, on paper, he's now worth $3 billion? No, he's not. But anyway, just thought, we'd take care of that little rumor today, too. All right. Johnny in Texas.
Good afternoon. As usual, you do an excellent job of curating it mixed with humor.
Thank you.
No one else comes close to what you do.
Is that right? Then why do I only have 40,000 people on YouTube?
Well, how is it that a country with 11 time zones, with the economic power of the bomb the hell out of Ukraine's infrastructure, how are they going to afford to rebuild all of Ukraine? That's what I'd like to know. And here's the other piece of the puzzle I'd like to know an answer to. How is it that Donald Trump's energizing rapid heart can withstand all those uppers all night, and he not end his life so prematurely? He's the one that's afraid to exercise, right? And one last thing. I remember my short-term memory goes back to when
Okay, Johnny, I hate to interrupt you. I really do, because it's obvious that you're a lovely man with a great appreciation for me. Okay, and I appreciate it. I really, really do. But your phone is in and out, and I can't really.
Oh no!
Yeah, I can't get.
I'm using my smartphone too, not the Magic Jack.
Well, yeah. So we have to break up that monopoly too, because their phones really suck. But no, I the only thing I got from you was like something about how is Russia, I guess that's...
how's Russia going to afford to rebuild Ukraine after it's flattened it as it has?
Oh, because it's not just one country that will rebuild you. First of all, Russia rebuilt Chechnya. I don't know if you had a little look-see. They demolished Chechnya. I mean, it was down to the studs. Okay, they bombed. If you look at it now, it's all shiny and new. That's the world's money, okay? That's it's not just one country that invests in that will rebuild Ukraine. God forbid Russia ends up. And you're assuming that Russia wins, which to me is so offensive. Not that you're offensive, okay? I don't mean to, but it would be so wrong that Ukraine goes to Russia. So wrong for any number of reasons. Number one, that like you said, they bombed the crap out of it, so they shouldn't get to rebuild it. They should pay for it, but they shouldn't get to own it. Anyway, that's too painful. That's too painful for a Friday. Tony in Louisiana.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Tony.
How are you today?
Okay.
Listen, I'm one of your Fargan Bastids that watch you every day. and I really respect your opinion. And I wanted to ask you one question.
Okay.
What has Israel done for the United States?
Oh, well, first of all, we get so much intel from them. I mean, okay, you got to either turn me down or I can't talk to you this way. No, I can't. All right, so what has Israel done? So what has Louisiana done for me? Like nothing. I mean, what a strange question. But okay, if we're going to make it about you do for me, I do for you, if that's the way your world works, Israel has contributed so much technology. Not only they invent things for high-tech purposes like microchips and cloud environments and all this, and then they, make our companies like Cisco and HP, whole host of, high-tech companies thrive. American companies thrive. Motorola, they contribute so much tech, but they also contribute so much intel to us on that neighborhood that they're in. And so, like I said, if we didn't have them, we'd have to invent them. We'd have to make an Israel so that we could have the intelligence that we have from that region